Hi, it's Debbie Williams, and today I'm going to talk about some language patterns that can be used to influence. Now, within NLP, we've learnt a lot from Dr. Milton Erickson, who was a psychiatrist, medical doctor, as well as a hypnotist, and he had a way of installing strategies in people to get them to make changes in a way that bypassed the conscious critical mind. And how he did this was through quotes. So if somebody came in to see him and they sat down and they started to share about a problem, what Milton would do, he'd say, "Oh, that's interesting. My friend John had a similar problem and he did da 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 solution." Now, this way of communicating works on so many levels because, one, it actually says to the person, you know, you're not odd, you're not abnormal, and I've heard this before and I'm accepting of you, if that makes sense. Also, it's laying down a pattern that somebody else has had this problem and they've been able to find a solution. Now, if the client was very, very analytical and is listening with full sort of attention, they might be listening and they might say something along the lines, "Well, that wouldn't work for me." What Milton would then say is, "Well, I'm not saying it'd work for you, but what I'm saying is what my friend John did, and I'm sure with your creative mind you'd come up with much more sort of elegant solution than that." So again, a little bit of stroking to that person's egos. But a lot of times we don't actually listen. So when we're hearing a story, we get absorbed in the story. So it goes straight in as a pattern that lays down as a means for the brain to follow a way towards a solution. And if you think about it, we have friends that ask for advice and we give them advice because we're one step removed, so we can see, oh, what you need to do is this, and this. And unless you're sort of like a boss to that person, it's unlikely that people would take that advice, because the reason being is when we hear the advice from the outside, inside our brain, we kind of say, well, it can't be that simple because this feels big. In our language, we say, oh, they're blowing that out of proportion. And when you're in a problem, it does feel bigger. So just doing direct, well, what you need to do is this, and this won't work. But maybe next time, if you're working with a friend and they're telling you all the problems of blah, 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 that if you think, how could I tell this as a story? And I do this a lot with clients, and I use stuff that I've learned from other clients. I change the name, I change a little bit of the delivery and some of the content, but I'll say, oh, that's interesting. Another client of mine had a similar problem and they did da 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 da, and it really worked for them. And the people sat with me think, oh, I'm just telling stories, but I'm not. I'm actually installing. So if, you know, the next time a friend says something, you think, oh, well, that's interesting. You know, a cousin of mine had a similar thing with a similar situation, and what she did was da 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 da, and you include the advice in that as if it's something that that person already did, and you'll find that there's probably a lot less objection because it's not about them, or that's what their conscious mind thinks. Oh, you're just telling a story about somebody else, let's get back to me, but actually you are installing in that strategy. Okay, it's great talking to you today. Bye now.